Welcome to discoveringlean.net. I'm Mike. I wanted to have a little quick video to talk about a common topic that I'm asked about. Are carbs bad? Oh, by the way, thanks to Arkansas Fitness and Athletics for the shirt. Awesome shirt. Are carbs bad? No, they're not. Carb is one of the three essential macronutrients. There's a fat, a carb, and a protein. Those are the three nutrients that are combined in various amounts to make basically anything you eat. So, low-carb diets there are studies that have shown that a low-carb diet is very effective for losing body fat. That's my objective. I'm down about 80, 90 pounds body fat at this point. And this is something that's worked well for me without having cravings or any of that. So it's something my wife and I have followed for nearly 3 years now. Stayed on it, not going on and off. What we try to avoid is any kind of a processed carb, because essentially what happens, it'll spike if you have processed sugars or a lot of these common processed carbs. It'll spike your blood sugar. That causes an insulin response, and that's one of the key things that will help essentially tell your body, hey, I got some available energy. I should store this fat. In my mind, the way it really works is when I get these carbs in, my body would say, do I have an immediate need for this? Am I in the middle of some exertion and I need immediate energy? If so, that's a very clean source of energy I can use. Do I need to repair? Do any repair functions? Do I need to restore the sugar, glycogen, the sugar in my muscles? No. Okay, then store it. That's I think the easy way to think of it. So what we do is essentially we eat clean. We eat lean protein sources. We stay, moderate to low in fat, and we have no processed sugars and really no rapidly absorbing carbohydrate sources. So try to avoid those blood sugar spikes. So we do that, and we essentially have what we call dividend meals. Some people call them cheat meals, but in our mind, if you're following a plan, you're following an eating plan, and that's part of the plan, I don't think that's cheating. I think of it as a dividend that you've earned. So that's why we just changed the terminology on that. Now, there's some diets out there that there's fewer real diets in the world than you would think. As an engineer, I kind of think of it like this. There's three macronutrients. There's a very finite number of combinations of there's a really high protein, for example, high protein or low protein, high carb, low carb, high fat, low fat. There's only really 8 combinations between all of those 3 different macronutrients. If you look, it's a simple binary calculation. One of which is a low fat, low sugar, low protein. That's called starvation. One is high fat, high sugar, high protein. Well, that's called gluttony. So that's really not a diet. So if we strip those 2 off, we have 6 different combinations, and many of those really aren't viable. So there's very few. People just come at it from quirky things. Oh, well, your source for food is going to be lemon juice with cayenne pepper in it. That's not food. You're going to eat lots and lots of cabbage. Well, maybe you lose weight, but you're probably going to chase away most of your friends. We also think that that's going to be a losing proposition. If you are trying to diet and get a short-term fix, that's got a very, very high percent of failure, roughly 95 plus. To be successful long-term, my dog's drinking a little water right now. He believes in staying hydrated. To be successful long-term, you need something you can stick with for the rest of your life, and it has to be something that can accommodate your needs and in terms of energy sources, etc. Avoid cravings, or incorporate that in, like we do. We have 2 or 3 meals a week. I personally eat about 4 meals a day, sometimes 5. But if you eat 3 meals a day, you're going to get 2 or 3 dividend meals per week that you can have essentially whatever you want. And I say essentially because you really need to stay within reason. You shouldn't go hog wild and think you can eat anything in the world, as much of it as you want. You can take in thousands of calories. He's very thirsty. You can take in thousands of calories and really kind of undermine some of the work you've done the rest of the week. So 2 common diets that have very strong restrictions that you basically never have sugar, the ketogenic diet or the Atkins diet. Some people I know have done very well with Atkins diet, short term. Short term loss, lose a ton of weight. But I can't think of a single person that I know that has stayed on the Atkins diet long term, multiple years with success. Because everybody I know that's on the diet ends up having these massive cravings for sweets and falls off the diet, gains the weight back, probably bringing a few friends with it. So it's a stopgap. It's not a long-term sustainable fix, in my opinion. So I really kind of take that off the table as far as success. And people will eat some crazy stuff. You know, it's like a plate full of bacon and a fat-laden steak, and they eat the fat, they eat the steak, they eat everything. They're eating everything except for carbs, and they never can have carbs, so they end up craving carbs. Now, I personally will avoid or try to keep my blood sugar and everything in check most of the time. Right before I work out, these little cuties, I love these. I'll have a protein bar and a cutie, or a protein shake and a cutie, or a navel orange if I can get it, if they're fresh and they look good. So I'll have that right before I work out. I happen to like lifting weights, and I find that, and there's also some evidence of this too, that having that available fuel right before a workout is beneficial, and I find that helps me with my performance in the gym. And then outside of those dividend meals, the other time you can have carbs, by the way, is within about an hour of a strenuous workout. Not walking down the block, but if you're doing, something fairly intense, within an hour of that workout, your body treats that different because it will use that to restore some of the sugar in the muscles, that glycogen we talked about. So another thing is processed food. Am I against processed food? Not really. I think if you had it once in a great while, okay. If that's what you want for your cheat meal, to each his own. But the way I think of it, as far as if you break it down to just energy, if I'm an engineer, and I kind of think of things like for software, for example. If I look on one end of the spectrum, there's a program on my PC, it's loaded on it, it's on the desktop, it works, click, click, run it, done. That's very, very easy. I get the utility out of it, but I'm not really expending any energy other than just clicking it. So that goes along the paradigm of, on one end, it's on the desktop, you click it, you run it. Okay, it's not on the desktop, but I download it, I install it, then I run it. Okay, well, it's not available in that form, so I have to get the source code that somebody else wrote, compile it so it runs on my system, install it, click it, run it, done. Obviously, I'm getting a lot higher on the effort scale as I go along this track. And of course, the final end of that scale, if I follow it all the way out, would be there's no such program. I have to sit down, acquire the skills, learn to program, write the special program that I want, get it finally compiled and running on my platform, double click it, and then, so I've got a lot of effort in getting it to where it's a consumable form of a consumable product. So the same is true with food. If I'm eating a real food, my body's going to have to break that down. Processed food, a lot of them are, mechanically broken down to very fine pieces, like flour, wheat to flour. It's enriched, it's bleached, it's processed, it's broken down, and it will cause a blood spike. So, I try to break it down to eat real foods. I'm going to eat something like that, a nice piece of chicken. If I'm going to have something as rapid energy source, I'm going to have a tomato. But when I have examples of the three macronutrients: fat, olive oil, a carb, a natural carb. Again, I don't eat the processed sugar because that is taken so far from its origin. It used to be sugarcane or beets were the primary source for sugar. Now it's high fructose corn syrup, which is not a natural process at all. They're putting it through sulfuric acid, to pre-digest it and get an undigestible form of sugar to where humans can absorb it, and it's very cheap but super fast blood spike. So stay with real foods. The carbs, if you take the carbs in within an hour of a workout, or if you take them in on the dividend meals, which for the average person, 2 or 3 meals a week, we found that it's a very easy way to have success, to stay healthy, to not feel those cravings, and just watch the body fat melt away. So I hope this was helpful to somebody. Give me feedback, comments, etc. Love to hear from you. Help you any way I can. But have a great day, and thanks for watching DiscoveringLean.net.